Several names have been mentioned when it comes to the long-awaited 2020 draft, but others, like Devin Vassell, are barely named. We personally think this is a real injustice, considering the potential that Vassell would be able to bring to any team in the league. In this video, we'll be going over some of the reasons why this player is so valuable and how unusual it is that he has barely been taken into account for the 2020 NBA draft pick. Coming in at 6'5", 179 pounds, Devin Vassell is a player capable of dominating in any position on the court. Born in Suwanee, Georgia on August 23, 2000, Vassell began to excel at Peachtree Ridge High School, generating offers to represent Florida State University, Texas Tech, and North Florida. Eventually, he opted for the former and continued his basketball career at Florida State. Until then, Vassell was a nationally unnamed project, not even appearing in the top 100 recruits ESPN assembles year after year. His first campaign with the Seminoles didn't help either, as he averaged just 10.7 minutes and 4.5 points per game. The story was very different in 2019 to 2020. Not only did he become a starter, but he also established himself as a key member of one of the nation's best teams. His averages of 12.7 points, 5.1 rebounds, and 42% in three-pointers tell only part of the story in terms of his importance in Leonard Hamilton's team. His performance was rewarded, being chosen to the second ideal quintet of the prestigious ACC conference. Physically, he has it all. He may be a little short for the forward position, but due to his good defensive work, he will be able to perform in both positions. Regarding his attacking strength, he is a player who has a direct translation of his NCAA to NBA game, meaning he has been able to transition to the big leagues with ease. When it comes to finishing a play, he has good control of his body when shooting floaters, which is one of his best resources. He is a low-flow player when it comes to finishing, but quite effective. He has always been above 60% on shots from the restricted area of the paint. He's good at scoring in transition, and the power he has in his vertical leap is enough to make him an interesting player when it comes to finishing on the fast break. During his time on the court, he shows himself as quite the reactive player, reaching the point where there are times when he throws flashy passes like Magic Johnson, leaving his opponents in awe. It could be said that his shooting capabilities is the main offensive virtue of Devin Vassell, and is that it has been found throughout the season among the best in the NCAA for spot-up shooting, always within 75%, and among the best finishers around the net while getting hit and still being able to finish strong, within 85%. He has no problems with the versatility of his shot, being able to get up after missing it, or going up for the putback dunk after a couple of bounces around the rim, or even his infamous step back, with which he usually gets good space. It's safe to say that his shooting selection is very good, and his reading of the defense and the exit of the indirect blocking is masterful. It is also noteworthy to mention that practically everything that he does in the offensive facet is to obtain a good shot. As a defender, he has only played a few games where he was capable of achieving 1 to 2 blocks a game, proving that he still needs to work on his defense before getting drafted into the NBA. He has not stood out too much, and he shows himself as a player who can be intimidating but has a hard time involving players in his direct blocking game. He has a tremendous engine, a great ability to be a good defender, and has very active hands that are almost always following the ball and poking it out of the hands of his defenders. He is one of the most active players in this section, not only in the draft, but also in the whole NCAA season. As for his hoop defense, even though he is not a big player, he has the ability to protect the hoop in a way that works well for him. In the post, he can have some problems, and that is that, despite his size, he lacks a lot of mass, and that can be a problem while posting up some bigger defenders. Defending in 1v1 situation, he is good in this aspect of the game, being very active with his hands, making it difficult to get the ball away from him. He also presents very good speed in the rotations of his body on his axis when the opponent starts the attack toward the hoop. It is true that he suffers something if the turn is very deep, but to avoid that, he usually uses a lot of his supports to start the rotation. His reaction time is very fast, and that allows him to take a risk a little more because with his reaction speed, he can recover. One main area that this player might need to work on would be that he is not a very creative player with the ball. He draws few fouls, 3.1 for every 40 minutes, and for his conditions, he doesn't go too far to the hoop. As a passer, he is limited, 2.3 assists per 40, and somewhat imprecise, although, in his favor, he usually limits himself to his role and doesn't fall into too many turnovers per game, 1.2 per 40. At the same time, although he is a good shooter, he is not what one would call a specialist. His triples usually come from what his teammates generate, and he is not going to invent too many spaces. neither with the ball nor with his movement without it. When the situation arises, he is effective, but he doesn't usually create them on his own like James Harden or Stephen Curry. Now it's your turn to give your opinion. Do you think it's fair that so little is said about this player as a candidate for the draft? Just tell us what you think in the comments. We hope you guys enjoyed the video. Check out some of the videos on the screen that we're sure you'll love.